opening. "One whole year without you," I whispered, gazing at the photo beside the bed. A year had passed and still I couldn't pull myself together. Lucas had changed my life. With him, I felt needed, loved, important. I gave him my heart, and he sheltered it from the cold of this ruthless world. Exactly 1 year since he died, and exactly 1 year since I lost not only him, I lost myself. Everyone keeps repeating time heals and life goes on, but it doesn't. I can't allow myself to be happy without him. Can't even let myself truly smile. It would feel like betrayal, like a crime against him. Since the day he died, I haven't just lost you, I lost myself, I whispered, still looking at the photo. It feels like I'm stuck between what was and what will never be again. We had plans, dreams, we imagined our home, drinking the world's best coffee together, playing hide and seek with our little children, growing old and gray, still madly in love, spoiling our beloved grandchildren. We were meant to live the happiest life together until our last breath. We deserved that, and we believed in it with every cell of our bodies. And then one drunk driver in an instant changed everything. He took not just Lucas, he ripped my heart out with bare hands and left me here, still breathing in this world. Since that day, I've existed in a reality I never chose. The world keeps spinning. People live, rejoice, fall in love. But not me. I'm stuck somewhere between the words "see you tonight," "I love you." Those words still echo in my head every single day. I hear his voice, especially at night, in complete silence. I constantly imagine the door opening any moment, and him stepping in saying, "Honey, I'm home." I'd run into the hallway, he'd hug me, kiss me, and as always bring me something sweet. I forced myself to get out of bed. It was already midday, and to me, that felt like torture. Every movement was heavy, like my body was separate from me, and I was dragging it along. I had taken a few steps, and the world finally started to come into focus. Before that, everything had felt like it was behind a film. Still, I couldn't piece myself back together. Barely managed to reach the kitchen and make some coffee. I set the kettle on the stove and stared into the gas flame, as if trying to find something good in the fire. I grabbed my favorite big mug from the cupboard, scooped in the coffee, and poured in the boiling water. I took a deep breath of the strong, fragrant drink, hoping it would help me feel just a little bit more awake. I took the mug with me and returned to the room. I finally found the courage to go through his things, carefully examining every detail. Some clothes still held his scent. I put on one of Lucas' t-shirts, and for a moment it felt like he was right there, hugging me. Digging through one of the drawers, I found a small box. I hesitated for a long time before opening it, but I did. Inside was a tiny, beautiful ring with a small stone. going to propose to me," I murmured under my breath. I imagined how he must have prepared for that moment, how nervous he must have been. I pictured him hiding the little box from me, secretly trying to find the perfect place to ask me. "I wonder what you had planned for me that day," I whispered, looking at the photo sitting on his desk. We were so close to our dream, but it never happened and it never will. My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of a phone ringing. Sound of phone ringing. Sarah again. I already know what she's going to say, I said with a smile and picked up the phone. "Hello." "Hey, you need to clear your head, and I'm not accepting any excuses. Let's go out of town, to the lake." "Sarah, I think I'll pass. I just don't feel like it." "You have to move on, at least try, because if you keep going like this, nothing good will come of it." "I just don't want to. Can't you understand that?" "Lucas definitely wouldn't be thrilled to see you ruining your life like this." "You have half an hour to pack, and I'm not asking. I'm informing you. I'll be there soon. Ciao." Sarah hung up before I could say anything else. As if there's even a point in arguing with her. She's been as stubborn as a mule since we were kids. I stood up slowly, feeling like my whole body was protesting. I guess I do need to try and live again, at least sometimes. I quickly grabbed a pair of shorts. I was still wearing Lucas' t-shirt and I wasn't planning to take it off. I touched up my eyes just a bit so it wouldn't be obvious I've been crying all the time. I tied my hair into a tight ponytail. One last look in the mirror. I think I'm ready. Oh, my stuff. I haven't packed yet. I quickly grabbed a swimsuit, a towel, even found my old sunscreen. The expiration date hadn't passed yet. I shoved everything into a backpack and sat down to wait for Sarah. "I hope I'm doing the right thing," I whispered with a sigh. Not even 20 minutes had passed when Sarah was already pounding on my door. Loud knocking on the door. "I'm coming! Don't break the door down!" I shouted nervously. I ran to open it, afraid that if I didn't hurry she'd bust it and hit the frame. When I opened the door, there she stood out of breath, red-faced, with her messy bun falling apart. "Can you believe your elevator doesn't work? I almost died climbing to the 8th floor." "Oh, you're packed? Wow, I was already mentally prepared to lecture you." "Yeah, I'm packed. No escaping you anyway," I replied with a smile. "Ain't that the truth?" She walked into the apartment and was immediately greeted by the chaos stuff scattered everywhere. Books, notebooks, random boxes, and men's belongings. It looked like a hurricane had torn through the place. "What? Were you trying to demolish your apartment?" She laughed. "It's Lucas' stuff." "Why are you torturing yourself?" "I'm not torturing myself. We'll grab some boxes on the way. We'll pack everything up. Call it a cleansing ritual. You need saving." His things don't bother me. And saving me from what exactly? Wait, are you wearing his t-shirt? Yeah, I nodded and looked down at the shirt. "You're absolutely crazy!" He was going to propose to me. "Did he actually tell you that?" she asked with a smirk. Very funny. Don't be mad. I found the ring. Show me. Here. Wow, it's beautiful. Don't tell me you're actually planning to wear it? Of course I am. It was meant for me. When are you going to understand that it's over? Stop clinging to the past, especially to a past you definitely can't bring back. Maybe instead of this lecture I didn't ask for, we could just go already? Fine. I took one last look at the things scattered across the floor, turned off the light, and left. For the first time in months, I was going somewhere. Not to work, not for groceries, not to visit mom, but to have fun, or at least try to. And of course, to avoid another lecture from Sarah. I know she does it out of love, but she doesn't understand that it's not what I need. We got in and hit the road. Sarah blasted the music, like she always did. Skyscrapers and tall buildings flickered past the windows. For a second, I caught myself thinking I actually liked it. Once we left the city, the tires began to rattle against the uneven road, bouncing us around with every pothole. The road to the lake cut through a field of sunflowers. Remember our photo shoot here? Yeah, I think I still have those photos somewhere. Don't, you have to find them. Okay. Feels like it was just yesterday, I murmured, glancing at Sarah. Oh, let's recreate those photos. She slowed down, turned on the hazard lights, and we jumped out to take pictures. I can't say I was thrilled by the idea, but what can you do? Take a picture of me here. She put her hands on her hips and smiled brightly. I raised the camera and clicked once, then again. Well, am I amazing? Mia's choice. Changing poses, laughing loudly, and then ran over, snatched the camera from my hands, and started taking pictures of me. Come on, strike a pose. You're a total bait. No way, I look awful in photos. Shut up, you're gorgeous. For a moment, I forgot everything. I started posing. It was actually fun. Alright, now let me see. I reached out for the camera. You'll see them in the car. Let's go. I still plan on getting a tan today, in case you forgot. We got back into the car and I started scrolling through the photos, and then I looked alive, beautiful, not at all like how I felt inside. We should print those, right? 100! Sarah turned the music back on and started singing at the top of her lungs. Sing with me! Come on! I only know the chorus, I said, joining in hesitantly. She laughed, cranked the volume all the way up, rolled down the windows, and we sang at full blast. The warm wind hit our faces. I felt alive again and happy. Thank you for dragging me out of the house, I said, looking over at her. Anytime, you know that. She placed a hand on my shoulder. Oh, my favorite song. I started singing along. Hey, you sing too! I'm really glad we're here today, she said, then started singing as well. The car raced forward, the wind hitting our faces, and we were singing at the top of our lungs. I was alive right now. In that moment, I even felt happy. The lake was already visible on the horizon. We're almost there. We grabbed our things, spread a blanket right on the sand, and took turns changing into our swimsuits. The air was hot. Every breath smelled of summer and lake water. The sky was cloudless, and the sun blazed down on our skin, so bright it almost burned. The water's probably freezing right now, she said, staring out toward the lake. Let's go check. Raise you there? Sarah suddenly dashed toward the water as fast as she could. Sand flew in all directions from under her feet, and she laughed uncontrollably as she ran. She splashed into the lake and yelled. Holy crap, it's freezing! She hunched her shoulders, her face cycling through 100 expressions in just a few seconds. Well, you coming, or do I have to suffer through this iceberg alone? She laughed. I'll be there in a few minutes. Nope, get in here now! Mia, 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 she shouted at the top of her lungs. Stop embarrassing me. I'm coming, I yelled back. I ran to the edge of the water and began splashing Sarah with my feet. The water shimmered so brightly in the sun, it looked like I was kicking silver glitter instead of water. We laughed like kids. It really felt like we had traveled back to childhood. Sarah dove underwater and swam out toward the deeper part of the lake. All I could see was the rippling surface spreading out around her. Hey, I don't know how to swim. That sounds like a you problem, she laughed in reply. The only thing I could do was float on my back, so that's what I did. I closed my eyes. The contrast of the icy water and the blazing sun was surprisingly soothing. I just floated there thinking. If only Lucas were here with me right now, I'd be the happiest woman in the world. That thought hit me hard and suddenly I felt a wave of sadness. I headed back to the shore. Sarah, noticing I was leaving the water, ran after me. I tried not to let it show that something had changed inside me. Hey, you okay? Yeah, why do you leave the water? Well, I want to get a tan too, you know. Don't you know you tan best in the water? Actually, I brought sunscreen. You think I did that for no reason? I smiled at her. Well, in that case, share some with me. I opened my bag, pulled out the sunscreen, and tossed it to Sarah. She caught it in midair and squeezed a huge amount into her palm, then tossed it back. I applied it to my skin till it glistened in the sunlight like it was covered in glitter. We lay back on the blanket. The sun beat down even harder. So, what do you want most right now? I took a deep breath, then exhaled. A second of silence. For Lucas to be here with us. You're back on that again? Girl, you were supposed to say a cold, refreshing cocktail. Well, I want that too, actually. Mia, listen, you have to move on. Even if he's gone, your life keeps going. I'm sure Lucas would agree with me right now. Deep down, you know that too. It's been a year. That's a long time. Right, wasn't someone just threatening to find cocktails? On it, but this conversation isn't over. We will come back to it. I lay there for another 15 minutes before Sarah returned over the hill, carrying 2 cocktail cups and a pizza box. Whoa, where'd you get that? There's a little cafe over there. She nodded in that direction. Nice. Sarah sat down next to me, handed me a cup, and opened the pizza box. Maybe I was just starving, or maybe this pizza really did smell incredible. The scent of melted cheese, tomato, and spices filled the whole beach. I took a bite. The cheese stretched like in a commercial. This is divine, I said, lifting my head toward the sky. Yeah, I went aloud, she laughed. Oh please, you're such a forager of fine things, I shouted back playfully. We should probably finish up and start packing, or we'll end up looking like boiled lobsters. Totally. Remember last year when I burned so badly I couldn't even wear a t-shirt for a week? Yep, that was hilarious. Okay, seriously, let's get moving. We still have to pick up those boxes, remember? Right, how could I forget, I sighed, finishing the last of my cocktail. Oh no, it's not going to be easy. No doubt. We finished the pizza and started packing up. I stood, brushed the sand off the blanket, and stuffed it into the bag. Sarah had already changed. Now it was my turn. I walked slowly, dragging out the moment before we'd have to go buy those boxes. I knew life was moving forward and I had to follow it. On the other, I just couldn't let go of the life we had before. I changed and we headed back to the car. We Returning wasn't nearly as fun as driving to the lake. The music played softly in the background, and Sarah and I sat in silence. It was an uncomfortable silence for both of us. We both knew a moment was approaching that would be a true test for me. I didn't know how I would react when it came. Maybe I wouldn't even have the courage to take that step. "Are you ready?" She broke the silence between us. "How can anyone be ready for this?" I whispered. "You understand, right? There's no other way. Now is the perfect moment to take the step. Like I told you before, it's a kind of cleansing ritual. Exactly 1 year has passed since that day, and today you'll begin to live anew. You'll let go of the past and welcome your future." It sounds so poetic and inspiring when you say it, but in reality... "There's the supermarket," she said, looking to the side. Sarah parked the car in the lot. It was crowded. We barely found a place to park. We entered the store. It was enormous. You could buy absolutely anything here. I wandered down the aisles, browsing. By the way, I'd never been here before. The store turned out to be quite interesting, full of everything from dishes to decorative trinkets. From nails to strange-looking panels, there were blankets, children's toys, and household chemicals. Everything was so colorful and intriguing. I wandered the aisles like a little child, looking for something to buy for myself. Stitch toy from the cartoon. I don't know why, but I really wanted to have it. I would have grabbed a lot more things. Turns out I needed everything, but thankfully, Sarah found me. She approached with large, flat-packed cardboard boxes in her hands. "Wow, you've already bought half the store." "Well, almost," I smiled. That's how a new life begins, with little things like this. You're on the right path, girl. Let's go before I buy anything else. We walked into the apartment. Inside me, conflicting feelings clashed: a longing to escape depression and start living more, mixed with guilt and deep fear. My hands trembled, my heart pounded out of my chest, and there was a heavy lump in my throat. One more second and I would either cry or faint. Sarah must have noticed my state immediately. She stood quietly, waiting for me to gather the courage to enter the room. "Well, you'll manage. I'm here with you." "I'll manage," I whispered uncertainly. We entered the room. Clothes were scattered on the floor. Sarah placed one of the empty boxes down. She sat on the floor near Lucas' belongings. "Let's begin. Are you ready?" I sat down next to her and looked around. All these things felt like fossilized remnants of my past, deeply rooted in each item. "Let's start with the clothes." "Yeah, let's do it," I said as if on autopilot. Sarah started folding the clothes and I just watched. I couldn't lift my hand to pack his life into that damn box. I wouldn't allow myself to forget him. You need to do this yourself. I'm only here to help. You have to go through this, for your sake, for your future. I'm trying, really. I'll leave you alone for a bit. Sarah left the room and quietly closed the door behind her, leaving me alone with my grief. I held his photo in my hands for a long time, looking into the eyes in the picture. They still felt so familiar. I remembered every freckle on his face, every wrinkle. I remember his voice and the sound of his heartbeat. How can I force myself to put all this into a cardboard box? I don't know. I love you, but maybe it's time to let go, even if I really don't want to. I miss you, Lucas. A tear rolled down my cheek and fell onto the photo. I folded the first sweater and placed it in the box, then the second, the third. The box filled quickly, and it felt as though a great weight was falling from my soul. I could finally breathe a little easier. Sarah came back into the room. Oh, good job. The box is almost full. She took another box and placed it on the floor. She picked up a sweater and added it too. Once the box was full, I labeled it with his names and set it aside. I came across a photo album. I started flipping through the pictures. Sarah sat beside me and we looked through them together. It was a deeply emotional farewell. Even Sarah cried. When we finished the album, I placed it on my bed. Mia, don't you need to pack everything away? I silently picked up the photo album and placed it at the bottom of the box. It was hard, like something inside me snapped. I sighed, and for the first time, I was truly ready to try living again. Better that than returning again and again to a place where nothing would ever be. One by one, I packed his notebooks, books, pens, and folders with sketches into the box. And the photos too, put them in. I kept the photos. You can, otherwise, what's the point of all this? I picked up the photo from the table, kissed it like a farewell, and placed it gently in the box. Taped it shut quickly, as if I were in a rush, and I was. I wanted to finish it before I lost my nerve, before I broke. The room felt familiar. I stood up. His favorite mug was still sitting on the table. I picked it up. I thought about taking it to the kitchen like Sarah as a friend of mine. I know what you're thinking. Don't even think about it, she said in a firm voice. Why don't we finish today's schedule by breaking dishes? You want me to break this mug? Exactly. Come on, what for? Well, deep down I knew why. I just didn't want to admit it. I really did love that mug. Smashing it felt like smashing his feelings, but I also knew it was just an illusion, this mug. I was clinging to it like it was the last thread tying me to him, to Lucas, to this apartment, to this world. Finn, let's do it, I muttered under my breath. I gripped the mug, swung my arm, and hurled it to the floor with all my strength. It shattered with a crunch into 1,000 sharp fragments, just like my heart the day he was gone. Wow, I'm honestly impressed. But I thought we'd do that outside, she said, surprised that her voice was warm, almost cheerful. And then I lost control. I started laughing at first quietly, then louder, and then at full force like I hadn't allowed myself to in ages. But it wasn't joy, it was pain. I wanted to get out of me and setting me free. I left sharp, broken, and raw. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I sank to the floor, nearly collapsed, wrapped my arms around my knees, and sobbed. Sarah came over in silence. She sat beside me, gently wrapped her arms around my shoulders, and whispered, "Cry, it'll help." And it did. I felt like I was being born again. Go lie down, get some sleep. You're exhausted. Tonight was a lot. I lay down, pulled the blanket over my head, and drifted off. Eye-opening. I don't know how I did it so easily. For the past year, I've needed sleeping pills just to close my eyes. But now I slept like a child. I honestly can't even remember the last time I woke up feeling rested. There was no mug on the floor. Sarah must have cleaned everything up and thrown it away while I slept. I'm so grateful to have a friend like her. We've supported each other since we were kids, and she never turned her back on me, not even now. This past year felt like an eternity in darkness, so coffee. Immediately, I mumbled. But I didn't want it at home. I wanted to go out to sit at a cafe. Maybe I'd go to the one Lucas and I used to love. I put on my favorite black dress, the one we bought together in Paris, styled my hair, painted my lips with red lipstick. The ring Lucas had given me, I slipped it off my finger and onto a chain around my neck. Then I stepped into my black heels. Mia. I locked the door behind me and started walking toward the cafe. The path to the cafe leads through the park. I strolled slowly, the breeze brushing through my hair. I hadn't felt this beautiful or this alive in so long. My entire wardrobe this past year was made up of tracksuits and sneakers. My hair always in a messy bun or tied in a high ponytail. Makeup, I'd forgotten it even existed. Sometimes, I even forgot to wash my face. Now, in the park, couples walk hand in hand happy, in love. We used to be just like them, I murmured under my breath. Children were feeding pigeons and seagulls would rap near a small lake. A little girl was blowing beautiful soap bubbles that floated along the path. The park was alive, people were living their lives, and even I felt alive. I walked into the cafe. To my relief, it was almost empty. I chose a table tucked away in the far corner of the spacious hall. Soft, calming, relaxing music played in the background. This place was truly lovely. It always felt peaceful here. You could have a quiet conversation, work on your laptop, or simply sit with a cup of fragrant coffee and think. Good morning. We're happy to see you here. Have you already decided what you'd like? She asked with a smile as she approached. Good morning. Yes, I'll have a latte with chocolate shavings and a pastry your choice, please. Thank you for your order, she said and headed toward the bar. I just sat there twisting a napkin in my fingers. In my mind, memories flickered by like slides. We had sat at nearly every table in this place. It had been our favorite spot. At the table to the left, Lucas told me funny stories during our first date. At another, he asked me to be his girlfriend. We spent time here with mutual friends. Different moments, different dates. Only one thing never changed. Lucas always ordered his favorite cappuccino with oat milk, a double shot of espresso, no sugar. While I was drowning in my thoughts, my order had already arrived. Here's your order, enjoy. Oh, thank you. The pastry looks so delicious, almost too pretty to eat. I smiled, looking at her. I'm glad you like my choice, she replied with a smile, then walked off to another table. The pastry really did look beautiful, a delicate tart filled with smooth banana cream and topped with fruit pieces and chocolate sprinkles. I took a bite, couldn't help myself, and said, Mia. I hadn't been to this cafe in quite a while. The entire staff had changed, just like my life had changed. The door opened. I noticed a man, around 27, walk in and glance around the cafe as if searching for someone. I took another sip of my coffee. He started heading in my direction. Please, not here, I muttered to myself. He took a few more steps, then glanced again toward the wainsfarth, as if to signal he was ready to order. It was strange, there were plenty of empty tables. I couldn't understand why someone would sit near someone else, and I couldn't switch tables now. He'd know exactly why I moved. To my shock and growing unease, he didn't just sit at the next table, he came straight to mine. Good morning. Mind if I join you? Honestly, I was hoping to be alone. Just for a few minutes. Would you mind? I didn't have many options. Mia. Just then, the smiling waitress returned. "Are you ready to order?" "Of course, I'll have a cappuccino with oat milk, double espresso shot, no sugar, please." And in that moment, I froze. Something inside me snapped. How? That drink, only Lucas ever ordered it. A double shot of espresso, what? A storm of emotions raged in my head. Back when Lucas was still alive, the waiters here used to say only he ever ordered that kind of cappuccino, no one else. The waitress walked off to fulfill the order, and I just sat there, unable to gather my thoughts or emotions into anything coherent. "How are you doing? Why are you alone?" "I like being alone, drinking coffee, thinking about things," I whispered. From the outside, this left seemed like a decent man, well-dressed, straight-postured, calm voice. He seemed like a kind person. Or maybe he was just good at pretending. Or maybe he just didn't have anyone to talk to him, so he picked someone around his age to start a conversation with. "That's a beautiful ring around your neck, but why not wear it on your finger?" I lowered my head and clutched the pendant in my fist, as if trying to hide it from prying eyes. That ring meant something deeply personal. I didn't want to talk about it, but I had to answer. "Mia." At that moment, the waitress quietly approached us with Lev's order. For a second, everything around me went silent, as if the world had stopped. I no longer heard anything, not music, not words. Nothing. The scent of that coffee sent me back in time for a few seconds. Oh, that smell, I couldn't get enough of it. It smelled like memory. I felt it for the first time in a year. It felt like Lucas was about to come over, and as always, would start talking about something. He'd make me laugh, would drink coffee and go somewhere. It didn't matter where as long as we were together, holding hands. The aroma of his cappuccino still lingered throughout the cafe. The smell kept reminding me of the past. I was about to ask why he ordered that exact drink, but Lev interrupted my thoughts. "You know, sometimes we leave a piece of ourselves in places that were important to us." "You're absolutely right," I said. "And even after a year, when you come back there again, that feeling still resonates with you." I froze. Those words cut deep into my mind. After a year? Could this be a coincidence? "You talk as if you know me." "I know what's on your soul." "How? We've only known each other for what, 20 minutes? Sometimes that's enough to understand what a person feels." "And what do I feel?" I whispered softly, taking a sip of coffee. "You feel pain, and you carry it with you. And to feel happiness, you just need to let go of the past." I didn't know what to say, but those words felt incredibly important to me, as if he wasn't here by accident, as if he came specifically to say that to me. How do you let go of the past when it's the only place where you felt happy? You just don't know how to be happy here and now. Listen, you're a young and beautiful woman. You know, I often think sometimes we hold on to people in our memories so tightly that we don't notice how much we're hurting not only them but ourselves too. How do you... He cut me off and continued. You don't have to know someone personally to understand they're struggling with the loss of someone dear. That ring around your neck says it all. You're very strange, I murmured. When I came in here, you were sitting in the far corner of the big cafe. You probably chose that spot so no one would see you and no one would disturb you. You were thoughtfully fiddling with the ring hanging on your neck. It was clear you were remembering or thinking about something. You're very observant. Of course, and I can even say for sure that your story is just beginning. This might sound strange, but you remind me of someone. Maybe it's not so strange after all. I looked at him not just as a stranger who had sat down to have coffee with me. I was searching for something in him, something familiar his saying coffee, calm speech, voice tone, almost everything was alike. He was trying to comfort me just like Lucas did. Wait, stop, that's impossible. I must be paranoid. Take that ring off your neck and hide it in a deep, distant drawer, not just literally, but in your soul as well. Easier said than done, I sighed. No, it's not easy at all. I know what I'm talking about. You do? If love has died, don't turn it into your own prison. Hide it deep in a corner of your heart, but leave space for something new, something alive. Just as I was about to ask again why he ordered that exact drink, the waitress approached us politely and asked if we wanted to order anything else. Excuse me, would you like to order anything else? No, thank you. No, thank you. May I bring your check? Mia, may I treat you? Mia. Here you go, keep the change, he said, looking at the waitress. Can I pay by card? Of course, but you'll need to go to the terminal. Lan, excuse me for a moment. I went to the bar counter, paid for my order, and immediately returned to the table. Lev was gone. That felt strange to me. I hadn't seen anyone leave the cafe. I turned back to the waitress. Excuse me, did you see if the man who was sitting at my table left? Sorry, no, I didn't. I turned back to the table. Lev seemed to have vanished into thin air. Or maybe I was losing my mind and no one was here at all. But no, the waitress knew someone had been with me. So I must be okay, and so is my mind. I quickly finished my coffee and left the place. I walked slowly along the paved path through the park. A storm of emotions raged inside me. Thoughts hammered at my temples like drumsticks. I couldn't understand why that man had approached me. The cafe wasn't crowded, yet he chose the farthest table, my table. How did he know so much about me? I murmured. I stopped by a bench and sat down. For the first time in a long while, I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to lock myself away in four walls and pretend I didn't exist. I needed fresh, cool air to clear my mind. I took a deep breath as if it was the first time in ages I was breathing fully. It was blue, with gray clouds drifting hesitantly, sometimes hiding the scorching sun, then letting it shine again. Life buzzed along the alley. Children rollerbladed and skateboarded. An elderly woman in a blue floral dress walked a cute little dog. Young parents strolled with their kids. I leaned back, resting my back against the bench, closed my eyes, and took the ring hanging around my neck in my hands. It warmed in my palm as if alive. Maybe Lev was right. Maybe it's time to stop carrying this burden, I whispered. Perhaps he came to deliver Lucas' words to me? I sat up abruptly, opened my eyes, and froze for a moment. This thought wouldn't leave my head. Maybe he really is Lucas, but how will I know? I pressed my elbows to my knees, resting my head against my legs, then suddenly sat back. Oh God, what are you saying? I'm going to need a psychiatrist soon. Yes, I need to pull myself together, definitely. I need a drink. I took my phone out of my bag and started searching for Sarah's number. Sound of ringing phone. Hello. Hi, I have so much new stuff to tell you. Oh, I love stories. By the way, where are you? Sitting on a bench in the park, and I'm thinking, shall we have some wine together? Oh my God, is that really you, my Mia? Can you imagine? I laughed into the phone. So where are you inviting me? Come to mine. We'll order sushi, and I'll pick up some semi-sweet red wine on the way. Like old times, a little party for two? Yes, I remember those times. Talking till morning, binge watching shows the days aside. It's never too late to bring the tradition back. I just dream of turning back time. By the way, why are you walking alone in the park? Why not call your best friend who's probably dying of boredom on her day off? I am calling you right now. Get ready. I have so much to tell you what you need. I really need to see your face. You little teaser, I'm getting ready. I'll call you when I'm out. Sarah hung up. On my phone's lock screen was a photo of me and Lucas on vacation in Paris. Nice photo, I sighed. Mia, you have to move toward life with small steps. I opened the camera and took a selfie with the trees behind me. Then I set that photo as my wallpaper. Much better, although I'm not sure if it's better. Definitely calmer. Sound of phone ringing. I looked at the screen. Sarah was calling. Hello, so are you ready? Yeah, just come home already. The wine's on me, and order sushi on your way. Which set should I pick? Choose whatever you like. Okay. I moved the coffee table closer to the bed, sliced some fruit from the fridge, opened a chocolate bar and a box of candies, arranged everything nicely on a plate, grabbed the wine glasses, and waited for Sarah and the sushi delivery. Sound of doorbell. Someone rang the doorbell. I ran to the door and opened it. Standing there was the sushi delivery guy, a young smiling fellow. Good afternoon. Did you order sushi? Yes, we did, I said with a smile. Delivery guy, here you go. He smiled and handed me the bag. Thank you, I said, taking the bag. Just a moment, I'll get my wallet and pay you. I went back to the room, grabbed my wallet from the bag, and returned. The guy was still smiling in the doorway. I handed him the money. He started to fumble nervously through his pockets looking for change. Mia. He was so happy. It was like the light in the floor-ceiling shone even brighter. Delivery guy, thank you very much. Enjoy and have a great evening. Thank you. You too, I said, closing the door. I hadn't even reached the room to unpack the bag when the doorbell rang again. Even if there wasn't a delivery guy, I could say with certainty it was Sarah. She rings the bell mercilessly, pressing that damn button every second. I dropped everything and rushed to the door. Are you crazy? You've already gotten half the building up. Wait, I'm opening. Why so slow? She shouted before I could open the door. Slow? It's been 2 minutes, I smiled. Yeah, really? Felt like forever to me. She laughed, stepping inside. She handed me 2 bottles of wine and a bag of fruit. Wow, why so much? Better to have too much than too little, she laughed. Here's the wine. Come on into the room. I'll get the corkscrew. Sarah went into the room, leaving a lovely trail of perfume behind her. Your perfume smells unreal, I called from the kitchen. Really? I'll get you some just like it, she called back. I walked into the kitchen and placed the bag of fruit on the table. The peaches that had been on top of the bag rolled right out. Okay, where's the corkscrew? I hadn't drunk anything, or even had guests over for so long that I had no idea where my corkscrew was. I opened the first drawer, then the second. Cutlery, napkins, a bag of plastic bags, everything was there except the corkscrew. I searched through every drawer in my kitchen, even the one where I always kept all kinds of useless stuff that might come in handy someday. I usually opened that one only when I needed to throw in some really important junk for the future. And just as I was about to lose hope, I saw it, wow, a little rusty, lying on the very edge in a cracked plastic box that once held cookies. That box used to be very important to me as well. This is was already nibbling on some fruit from the plate, comfortably settled on the bed. Finally, you're going to keep me waiting forever. I couldn't find the corkscrew. Let me open it. She reached out her hand for the corkscrew. Sarah popped the cork out with such ease. I wasn't expecting it. The cork came out with a characteristic pop. She dropped the corkscrew on the floor, raised the bottle, and shouted, "Hooray, to your new life!" She jumped up from the bed and poured the wine into glasses. "I want to toast to you managing to change everything." "Thank you. I'll try." We talked for a long time about many things. Time flew unnoticed. It felt like it didn't exist at all. At first, it was memories of our childhood, funny school stories, how Sarah broke her arm jumping from a tree and I brought her candy to the hospital, how we wandered around in our youth, and how carefree and fun our lives were. Then how everything changed. Oh, remember when I convinced you to skip classes? And you were so scared to do it. Of course I was scared. I was a straight-A student after all. I laughed. And I remember when you made me lie to my mom. What? That never happened. She smiled. Yeah, it didn't. I told my mom we were studying for a test, but we went to the lake instead, remember? That's when your mom almost killed us, right? Yes, exactly then. She came back an hour later and yelled so loud that even the rain stopped. We laughed so loudly and sincerely, just like back in carefree childhood, when the world seemed simpler. We sat, talked, and drank. The wine slowly warmed our bodies and softened our thoughts. You were supposed to tell me what happened today. Right, I almost forgot. It was a very strange encounter. I was sitting in the cafe, our favorite one, with Lucas. Sarah listened so attentively she didn't even blink, only occasionally taking a sip of wine. He came up to my table. The strangest thing was that out of the whole big hall, he chose the table in the very corner of mine. The moment he stepped inside, it felt like he was looking for someone, like he was looking for me. Of course not. Maybe you just thought he was looking for you. Maybe, but I'm not sure. What happened next? She asked with curiosity. He came up to my table and asked if he could join me. And you? Oh, I refused at first, but he insisted. And then he said something strange. I'm not just a few minutes. Why strange? He wasn't there forever after all, she said with a laugh. Listen to the rest, that's what shocked me. Surprised me! Do you remember what Lucas used to drink at that cafe? Oh, of course, only he drank the nasty coffee. Probably nobody else in the world drinks it. Exactly, no one does, except what? He also drinks cappuccino with oat milk, double shot, no sugar. So, that's normal. Lots of people like a double shot with that awful milk. Don't tell me you think he's Lucas? Not that I think, but... Well, what but? Don't make up things that aren't there. You're always looking for Lucas and everything. Remember when you followed the man wearing the same t-shirt Lucas had on that day? So, was that Lucas? Or did you just scare some poor guy? She said nervously. You don't understand. He knew it had been a year, that I was suffering from the loss. I tried to convince her hesitantly. And if I say sometimes I've been waiting for something or someone for a year, does that mean I'm Lucas too? Yeah, you sometimes annoy me so much I'm ready to kill you. What happened next? What else did he say? He said that in order to feel happiness, you just have to let go of the past. Oh, a sensible man, she exclaimed. It's written all over your forehead. Tense silence hung between us. The only sounds were the wine swirling in the glasses and the city noise outside the window. Filling my glass, she handed it to me. Here. So what did he do next? She asked curiously. I went to pay for my order, and a minute later he was gone. He vanished, dissolved into thin air. I don't know how to explain it. Ah, so that's why you decided he was Lucas? I'm not saying he was Lucas, just his manners were very similar. What manners? Calm, supportive. Oh, do others talk to you standing on their heads? She interrupted. Sarah, enough, I said nervously. After talking to him, I wanted to live again. It's about time you started living. What if I fail? What if I break? If you break, I'll put you back together again, she said, laughing. We just sat quietly like that for a few more minutes. The room was now in silence. Only the light of the setting sun filtered through the half-open curtains, lighting up our faces. It seemed time had stopped, and everything around was still. Even the cars outside were silent. Sarah cleared her throat and broke the silence. Oh, maybe a movie? Because this wine is hitting me pretty hard. Sure, good idea. Honestly, me too. But let's pick a comedy so we don't think too much about the bad stuff. By the way, promise me you'll go on a date. What? A date? No more drinks for you. Here, better find a movie. She's talking about a date, I said sarcastically, handing her the TV remote. I lay down next to Sarah. We never picked a movie, so we just turned on something random to have background noise. Under the blanket, it was warm, and that warmth lulled me toward sleep. Sarah lay there with a relaxed, childlike smile, probably trying to understand what the movie was about. The screen flickered. The voices of the characters sounded to me like through water, through sleep. As I tried to catch any words, I forced myself to keep my eyes open, trying to focus on the TV screen. Sarah didn't even blink. I got the feeling she was already asleep just with her eyes open. My eyes slowly closed, like weights of stones were attached to my eyelids. Time and again I tried to open them, struggling to catch the film. Eyes opening. I woke up to Sarah's piercing alarm scream. It sounded. I reached for my phone and turned it off, closed my eyes and started drifting back to sleep. But that damn alarm rang again. It felt like the whole house was already up, everyone except Sarah. Damn it! Give me no man. Sarah slowed me out. I want to. Sarah pulled her. Finally, silence and peace. I stayed lying in bed, but not for long. Sleep was broken, and I had to get up. What? I got out of. I went to the. I heard. Oh, with. Yeah. The cemetery is a 20-minute walk. I walked. I've decided. The city. In my house. Yeah. I paid for my order, stopping in front of my phone. I don't remember and now I'm standing in front of him. Now I brought you flowers, not the other way around, I said. You were.